Hello and a very warm welcome to the late-breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage, and me, Ben Hocking, for surely one of the greatest episodes of the year. We're in person for Teammate Wars, where we will decide which of the two drivers in each team will score the most points. Unbelievably, this is the 9th year that we have done this now, and myself and Sam are locked at 4-all.
I can't believe that you haven't won a single round of this.
Break the deadlock this year.
Is it your year?
No. Given the journey I've had into there, I really considered turning around at one point. I don't even like this episode.
No. Every year the same joke. Thanks for turning up.
I'm an hour late.
I can't believe you've never won this, though. 8 times, and we're on 4-all.
Yes, and you've won the last 2, Sam.
I have.
So you are on a roll.
I'm willing to take some risks now, though.
Oh.
I caught back up. I'm willing to take some risks this season.
Very interesting indeed. We do have some thoughts from the Discord as well, so put a few polls out there yesterday and some interesting results, so we'll see if they match up with what we have. We're going to go in reverse championship order, just like we did for Pimp My F1, which means we start today with Sauber. Now, of course, this one was won by Zhou Guanyu last year that none of us got right. We all thought Valtteri Bottas was going to win it.
That poor man.
And ultimately, one performance by Zhou Guanyu was enough to decide it.
We thought Tiger King was going to win it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought Joe Exotic
Carol
was going to
Baskin.
win, yes. Jesus. No, I can't say that. So this year, though, completely new lineup.
Yeah.
We've got Nico Hülkenberg, who's joined from Haas, and we've got Gabriel Bortoleto, who has joined from F2 to live his dream stake.
He's living the dream.
So the question is, of those two, who's going to score the most points? And we're going to start with the defending champ, Sam.
I'm going old school. I'm giving my faith to the vet that is Nico Hülkenberg. I think Bortoleto's got a lot of raw talent. I think he will come into his own very quickly, but I do think that stake, regardless of it maybe being closer to the rest of the field, is going to be slim pickings for points. And I think Hulk has probably got the experience on his side to get the car in the right place at the right time when those opportunities come his way. So, for me, Hulk takes this one.
Harry, I think it's the law that you have to pick Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
Unless it's against Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, apart from then. And I was right, because he lost. But other times, he's won. Yeah, Nico Hülkenberg. It's a fairly easy one. There's probably a few on this on the early stages here where it's maybe a bit easier in terms of there's a driver against a rookie, experienced driver against a rookie, but Hülkenberg's my choice for this one.
I assume for Alpine, we'll have 3 options to choose from.
Oh, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that.
Sorry, Jack.
We've got Hülkenberg versus Bortoleto. Both of you going Nico Hülkenberg. Give me Bortoleto, folks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's a freebie that I could go wild on later on.
Nah.
That's going to be wrong.
I'm going Bortoleto.
Are you well?
Bortolek, no.
The last time you said that was when George Russell beat Lewis Hamilton, and I was right then. I got a feeling about this one, Harry.
I said, are you well?
That's
About 10 minutes ago before the episode started.
Drivers that win F3 and F2 back-to-back typically do very well in F1. Ask Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Oscar Piastri. I think Bortoleto might be the real deal. And look, this could be, and again, I'm willing to be riskier with this one because of what you said about Stake Sauber, and they might not be very good, in which case there might be the opportunity to, I don't know, sneak a 2-0 win or something like that this year. Bortoleto impressed me a lot in F3. His consistency in F3 was very impressive. F2 last year, his consistency across the board was what ultimately won him the championship. But when he needed to be spectacular, he was. There was the Italian feature race where he came all the way from the back to win that Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso thinks he's pretty good, and that's got nothing to do with him being part of his management. Like, he just genuinely
Most
thinks...
unbiased man going. So
Well, this is why I wouldn't pick him, because anytime Bortoleto comes up near Alonso, he's just going to let him go through. If he's
That's going to cost me, yeah. I don't know. If Hülkenberg in a new environment as well, I imagine he'll adapt quite well, but equally... There were a few moments last year when Oliver Behrman went to Haas and challenged Hülkenberg straight away that made me go, I wonder if a new challenge...
Sound like a squeaky door there.
No, I genuinely did have the expression of a squeaky door.
Did you?
Yeah.
Were you ajar?
I was ajar, indeed.
Oh, very good. Isaac, ajar.
Oh, man.
Oh,
That
good.
is some gentle comedy, dude.
Very gentle comedy.
We're going to ease you into the episode, folks.
we know that this is one of the lineups, and we're asking the question predominantly about this season, of course, but we know this is one of the lineups that will be going into next year unless anything unpredicted happens. If Bortoleto doesn't, as expected, win this, what do you think he needs to do to give himself the best chance to go into 2026 with a better chance to beat Hülkenberg?
He just needs to absorb everything. It's a real opportunity to learn. He has the added benefit that he's almost in a no-risk scenario for himself because he's in the team that is expected to come last in the championship. Most people are expecting Stake to be in or around 10th place in the championship this year. And that does mean that he can take risks. He can probably try different strategies. He can drive in different aspects, and probably the results won't really be too different from race to race. So I think as long as he is growing in terms of his ability and learning race to race, much like what Piastri did in that first season at McLaren where they weren't right at the front and he was able to kind of make some mistakes, have some off races, and we all kind of went, the talent's there. You can see the pace, the talent is there. He could very much do the same. Hülkenberg, I think, will also be quite happy to mentor him a little bit. I do think Hülkenberg's the kind of guy that will go, I don't mind if you want to learn something or you want to ask questions or you want to have a chit-chat about it. I do think they can probably create that relationship. So whilst I don't think that Bortoleto will beat Hülkenberg this year, I think there's a very strong chance that going into the new year, when they're both in that new machinery entirely with the new regulations, he could stand a very strong chance at being the number one driver at that team.
How do you see the relationship faring? Is it going to be Hülkenberg taking on that mentor role and this being a team that works very well together, or will Hülkenberg feel threatened by Bortoleto and it could go sideways? How do you see it going?
Unless Bortoleto absolutely thrashes him, I don't think they're going to just not get on. For Hülkenberg, this is a project, isn't it, in terms of the Audi coming in next year, and he wants this team to succeed, and working with Bortoleto, if they're going to keep him for 26 as well, is that's a sensible thing to do for him, because what's the point in the progress will not be made if they're too busy having intra-team fighting.
Also over at like 18th place. What's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. They're not Merck from 10 years ago.
No,
there's no point fighting.
So I don't think I don't think Hülkenberg he's a sensible chap. His old Nico. He's been around the block a few times. He knows how the game works. So I don't see him. I see him, playing their mentor, helping build the team, because they need a lot of building.
The overwhelming majority of the Discord agree with you both, unsurprisingly. So Nico Hülkenberg, 166 votes. Bortoleto, it's me and 7 others. So,
oh
Lord,
the crazy 8.
The crazy 8. That's what they call us, probably. Williams are up next. One of the more intriguing teammate battles, I think, on the grid. Alex Albon, of course, still there from last season, but he is now joined by Carlos Sainz. A point that we've made a few times on the podcast. This feels like Alex Albon's toughest test by a long way since he was teammates with Verstappen at Red Bull. Sainz, this will be a bit of a downgrade, you would think, in terms of the car he's got at his disposal. Harry, who have you got winning?
I have Carlos Sainz winning this one. And you're right, it was a tough choice. I think the beginning of the year you could see Albon have the upper hand, but you get to maybe the halfway mark and Carlos Sainz fully gets ingrained in that team, and I think he'll start to edge back in front. So I think it'll be a close run thing, but I'm going for Sainz. Just given what we know about Sainz and where his form has been as of the past couple of years, particularly last year, and the unknowns really around Albon's performance, because his teammates have been Latifi, Sargent, and then Colapinto, who gave him a bit of a headache. So,
and sizes have been Norris and Leclerc,
slightly different. Slightly different levels of talent there. So I'm going for Sainz on this one, but I do think it'll be close.
Sam, I've got a more important question before asking you that. What do we think of Carbono?
I vomit a little bit into my mouth every time you say it.
I think Harry loves it.
Oh, you just took me on the words. I didn't think you were going to say it out loud. I'm just trying to hold down the sick.
Quite lucky that I haven't had a proper breakfast, actually. Because this microphone would.
Why do we have to have names to drives that go together?
Carbono or Bearcon?
I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna kill myself. Why are we shipping drivers like this?
No
Why
need to. Just call them their names.
They are just two adult men. Just talk about them normally.
Bearcon.
Bearcon. Let me just turn on the Bearcon.
I haven't made that up, by the way. Haas are actually using that.
Have you seen Ocon's released a T-shirt that's Ocon Tour?
You mean
My man.
movie star Esteban Ocon?
The teammate crasher. It's got on tour out.
More important matters. Sainz or Albon?
Smooth operator.
Going Alex Albon.
Carlos Sainz has famously adapted really well every single time he has moved team. When he moved to Renault, he was immediately competitive. When he then moved to McLaren, he was very quickly a team leader and settled very, very strongly. And then when he went to Ferrari, he was an immediate competition for Leclerc, very, very close, and of course beat him 1 year whilst at Ferrari. I do think that he will again adjust very quickly to Williams. I much think the same as Harry, that Albon at the start, probably the first 3 or 4 races, might have that initial slight upper hand. I don't think it'll be too massive, but over the course of the season, Carlos Sainz is fantastically consistent. He is never the outmost quickest driver on the grid. He never destroys people with outright pace as we see from like a Leclerc or a Verstappen or a Hamilton, but he just pulls results out consistently. And I do think that in a car like Williams, where it's going to be very, very close and those opportunities might spring up, he will be the driver I think that can put out the points for Williams. So yeah, Carlos Sainz.
Close by the end of the year?
I think in terms of the amount of points that team's going to score, yes, it will be close, but I think that Sainz will be the consistent front runner for the team.
So we're saying 24 races. How many times do you think Sainz beats Albon?
I'm going to say 14, 15 times. Yeah.
I went against the grain on the first pick. I'm not doing it here. I'm going Carlos Sainz.
Okay.
You are the grain.
You are the grain. Long
No,
grain.
there's a reference there, but we're not going down that path.
No, we're not going down that path at all. You're right.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Carlos Sainz as well. As mentioned in the intro to this one, I am really intrigued as to how this one goes, just based on the new teammate dynamics for Alex Albon, but also when Carlos Sainz was at Ferrari, him and Charles Leclerc had very different ideas of what they'd like from a race car. So, Charles Leclerc typically likes a very oversteery car.
It's a pointy end.
Yep. Carlos Sainz likes understeering. Alex Albon has a very similar driving style to Charles Leclerc. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get something of a setup war between them. I know it didn't really...
New show there.
Yeah.
Setup wars.
Setup wars.
TM. I just think, with 2026 being very important for the team, both of these drivers are going to want to establish themselves as the number one driver heading into that year. And if they've got different ideas of what they ideally want from the car... I'm not saying they won't get along, but it could just be a case of both of them want to make sure that development goes in their way rather than the other way.
Do you think them living together is going to help anything?
Oh my God.
I mean, they're basically siblings at this point.
They're living together.
They live together at the moment.
That's fake.
What? Do they?
Sainz spoke about this in an interview.
No, they live in bunk beds. Famously. I think Albon rang in and claimed the top bunk.
Wow. Maybe I should change my pick then.
He's a top bunk guy.
He is. Yeah. Science is too
what bunk
smooth.
are you?
I'm a top bunk guy. I get excited.
I think probably bottom bunk.
You're such a bottom bunk.
It's just easier, isn't it?
I love going up. That is us two to a T. I get excited by there being a ladder. You're like, I can't be bothered.
I know we've been looking for places to stay, a place maybe in America.
Maybe for
There's
something.
a few with bunk beds. Maybe.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few. with bunk
We're
beds.
in. We both stay up forever and ever. And I don't mind climbing a ladder.
I've discarded any options with bunk beds, but you're saying I should
Maybe we
do
should
that.
put them back in.
Okay,
Maybe we should start calling you Ben Bunk Bed.
I'm the only one that's not been in this discussion.
Good stuff.
So 3 out of 3 for Carlos Sainz. I think it was a fairly overwhelming winner in the Discord as well. So, that's helpful. Yeah, just go and scroll down.
Why haven't you written this down, Ben? You're so organised.
Well, I want to do it live. I want to make
right.
sure everyone's
Live
votes
and
counted.
direct.
But 157 to 18.
In what way?
Carlos Sainz.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. Racing Bulls.
Oh,
Yuki Tsunoda. Is he going to destroy, in his words, another teammate? We've had Daniel Ricciardo, we've had Nick De Vries. Now we've got Isaac Hadjar coming in from F2, the runner-up in F2 last year. Sam, who's winning?
I think Yuki's got this. I think that Yuki is going to be... I mean, he's already furious every day of his life, and I do think that Red Bull rejecting him for another year is going to just cause him to essentially turn up as a ball of fire driving that Formula One car, and I think it will motivate him. He essentially needs to look for an exit from this Red Bull family, whether that be the Aston Martin family with Honda coming in, or an option elsewhere, maybe the likes of a Cadillac or something like that. He needs to get out of that family because realistically, he's not being promoted to Red Bull unless an absolute disaster happens and there's a mass exodus of drivers and it's basically him and him alone. And even then, I'm not sure he gets that seat. So I think that Yuki will be out to impress. Hopefully, he can do the middle part of the season well because he regularly gets the start. And he regularly does the end brilliantly. The middle part, he tends to kind of flip-flop about. But I do think that Hadjar will be good competition. But I think it's going to take some time to ease in. I think he's going to have to adjust to the dynamics of the team. I also think, again, because of where that Racing Bulls team is expected to be in the championship, I just think Yuki's got the ability to qualify that little bit higher and put himself in a point-scoring position regularly, whereas I think Hadjar will take some adjustment.
Every year, I go against Yuki Tsunoda, and every year he laughs at me at the end of the year. He calls me every year.
Does he?
Yeah, FaceTimes. Yeah, and he's like, "You should have picked me at the beginning of the year, Ben. I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a Hall of Famer."
Sounds just like that.
He does actually. Yeah, true. So I have learned my lesson, and I'm going to pick Yuki Tsunoda this year. So if you let me down now, Yuki, I swear to God, I'm never going to pick you ever again. Hadjar reminds me of Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, I get that.
But like year one Yuki Tsunoda, and I'm going to back year 5 or year 4 or 5 Yuki Tsunoda over year 1 Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
I think Hadjar's pretty quick. He was, whereas Bortoleto I think was the more consistent of the two drivers in F2. Isaac Hadjar might have been outright the faster, potentially. But Yuki Tsunoda's got really good pace as well. What Hadjar was able to do runner-up in F2 after 2...
Came right down to the wire as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And got quite unlucky in Abu Dhabi. But in 2 seasons in Formula 2, Hadjar, his best was runner-up in that second year. Tsunoda was third after 1 year in F2. So just what we've got to compare between them to this point, that puts Tsunoda on top. He's got the experience factor. So, I'm going to go Yuki Tsunoda. I'm going to add a bonus bold prediction in here as well.
Oh, good lord.
A BBP.
A BBP.
Bang, can't say it.
Ben bunk beds.
Bang,
Bonus
bunk
bold
bed,
prediction.
bonus bold prediction.
My BBP is that this won't be the teammate battle at the end of the year.
Oh.
This isn't the teammate battle you're looking for.
That's exactly what will happen as well.
Okay,
Thanks,
no
Toby.
reliance on the prediction. What do you think's happening?
I think Tsunoda, when he is beating Isaac Hadjar, will be replaced in the summer break.
By
who?
By Arvid Lindblad.
Oh, you bloody love Arvid Lindblad. Why don't you marry him?
That'd be a bit weird. I don't know him.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's got the super license points now after he won Formula Regional Oceania last month, and he turns 18 a couple of days into the summer break. I think
That's horrific. When do people stop turning 18? Because surely there's got to be a cut-off on the population at this point.
I don't think that's how age works.
Just
We
no
can
more.
only have old people in
Yeah, well, I need to be young forever, so that needs to stop. I'm 30 in a month, if that.
You can't cull 17-year-olds.
Damn. What's the point in this
I
new
checked
government?
as well. Because I had the same idea.
Look at this new government.
Sorry, they don't do anything for us. Right,
Keir Starmer, get your finger out, mate.
You deserve a kit.
that's 2 very roundabout ways to get to Yuki Tsunoda as a vote. Harry?
Yeah, I'm going Yuki Poos. Sorry. I almost didn't. This is almost my wild card one, but because part of me thinks maybe he'll either be angry Yuki and will just breathe fire for the entire year, or his head's going to drop and he just Hadjar will get a couple of good races under his belt and beat Yuki, and then I just think his head will drop. But like you said, I'm probably going off the basis of the year Yuki had last year, so. I'm going to go for Tsunoda, but I do think it'll be quite a close fought one. But in the end, I think Tsunoda will win out, probably just because of the advantage he'll have at the start of the year versus the end. I think by the end they could be very close if he's still there.
Well, we'll see on that one. So 3 agreements from Sam and Harry to kick us off, and just 1 difference in terms of Sauber. We're going to be back with the next set. We're going to kick off with Haas right after the break.
What did the Discord say about this?
I've got Discord here.
Oh,
I don't care about
160 for Sonoda, 17 for Hadja.
Sorry, Hadja.
Close one.
By a whisker.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's go to Haas now. Ocon versus Behrman. Again, much like Sauber, this is 2 brand new drivers into the team. Of course, Behrman, his first full season in the sport, but did race a couple of times for Haas and Ferrari last season. Ocon moving over from Alpine because, he didn't deserve to stay there.
No, apparently not.
Harry, kick us off on this one.
I've gone for Esteban Ocon.
It worked well for us last year, didn't it?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
This one I find tricky. I think Ocon will have a point to prove in 2025 with Haas. He got booted out of Alpine inexplicably.
Don't drive into your teammate at Monaco.
No, I know, but it's not enough to be sacked.
Yeah, Gasly, stop running.
But I think Behrman's going to be good. I think there may be some. We'll get into the Discord in a minute. There may be some people that, and maybe you two think this, but think that he's gonna be better than he is. I think he's gonna be very good. I just think, based on what we've seen, obviously Saudi Arabia was impressive, but he was in a Ferrari, which was quite good. The other races he did last year were less impressive. I mean, Brazil was hard because it was literally you must drive and it's wet. But I just think he'll just have a few, and there's no criticism against him. I think he'll just have a few things to learn, as all the rookies will this year, and I think that will just edge it out for Ocon. But I do think it'll be quite a close one. I'm interested to see this one.
The Discord do think this one is very close, with a slight majority going for Oliver Behrman, but I think it might be the closest vote.
In fact, the wall pulled over your eyes. Absolutely wall pulled over your eyes. Ocon's got this. It's in the bag. I think Brazil gave it away. When the tough gets going, Ocon is the man.
Oh, that's phrase.
The going gets Ocon.
When the tough gets going, Ocon.
Ocon tour. I think realistically, he's so consistent. He's been up against a lot of big teammates. And when I say a lot of big teammates, I mean your likes of your Ricardos, your Alonsos. Even Gasly is now one of those guys who is so dependable up and down the F1 grid that I think across a whole season, in a team like Haas, which don't really know where they stand and they're trying new things, I think Ocon will come out on top here. Behrman is a fantastic talent. He will grow into something spectacular. He will be a driver that's going to be around for a long, long time. I have no doubt about it. The only thing I wish Behrman would change is his weird pseudo-Italian accent that he puts on sometimes while speaking, because he's the world's poshest man, and he's like, ragazzi, oh, I'm from King's Lynn, and I don't really understand the personality. And because of that, I've chosen Ocon.
Right.
Sound reasoning. It's us 3 against the Discord on this, because I've also gone for Esteban Ocon, and for similar reasons
Italian accents.
For similar reasons that you said before that. Don't let 2024 fool you. Like, Ocon can still drive, and I still think Gasly was the better of the 2 drivers at Alpine last year, but there was certainly an element of Ocon was better when the car was poo, and Gasly was better when the car was actually all right.
Yeah.
It was
Not so smelly.
marginally less poo. But yeah, Gasly, some of the performances he put in at the end of the season were brilliant, but of course by that point, Ocon, I think, was being deprioritized and he was on his way out. I think Ocon bounces back. This is the guy that beat Fernando Alonso a couple of years ago, so I wouldn't underestimate him. Behrman's going to be an interesting one because his F2 season last year was pretty poor, but
Shaky.
Prema were pretty poor as well.
I'm not nervous, but I'm a bit shaky.
But equally, he did very well in his junior career before that, so I don't know which way that's going to go. I think this could be competitive. I've just about sided with Ocon, though. Let's move on to his ex-team, Esteban Ocon's ex-team, Alpine.
Should we just wrap this one up?
Yeah, it's going to be real quick.
It's the gas man.
I'll grow up, Ben.
If you're putting Colapinto in there, you deserve to leave the podcast.
Nah, I've got Gasly.
Good. What did they say?
There were only 3 people that said Doohan.
Well done to those 3
No,
people.
I lie. 4 people. And 173 for Gasly.
Good. It's a very close fought battle. Do you want to say Colapinto?
No.
Put it as an option?
No. Yeah, I think Gasly had a great year last year, as we've already mentioned. And even if Doohan is better than
What we think he is.
somehow people think he's terrible. But if he's better than expectations, even if he is, I still think Gasly beats him. So
Apart from the Red Bull season, has Gasly had a bad season in F1?
Well,
just unfortunately,
somewhat
he had it in
related.
2019.
Somewhat related to that, Pierre Gasly has a perfect teammate wars record
Never lost.
against drivers not named Max Verstappen.
And to be fair, if you remove Max Verstappen, a god of Formula 1 driving, from the equation, almost a bit unfair, it's pretty good. Pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right, isn't he?
And he looks mean with that new haircut.
Gazzle.
Buzzcut
Yeah.
Bros.
Buzzcut Bros. We should be the Buzzcut Bros.
Should we do it?
Should we do it?
No.
K-Dog? Buzzcut? She's shaking her head.
Shocking, that one. 2 questions on this one, because obviously we are all going for Gasly, and it doesn't sound like we had to think too hard about it. Question number 1, is it one-sided? Question number 2, is it this battle at the end of the year?
Yes, it is this one-sided. I think Gasly is probably one of the most underrated drivers on the Formula 1 grid right now. I think Doohan, as much as I respect his career and he is a very talented young man, I don't think he's of the quality of what is a stupendously high-quality grid right now. We are seeing maybe a golden era of quality in terms of drivers up and down the grid. No paid drivers. Everyone is either a champion or basically a runner-up. They all earn their place. And I do think that Doohan is lacking that just cutting edge. No, I don't think this will be the battle at the end of the year.
What do you think on the second question?
Do I think it'll be the battle at the end of the year? Yeah, no, probably not. But
What did Alpine just sign as a sponsor?
what did they say? Oh, E&I.
South American Bank, wasn't it?
Oh, that one.
Ginormous South American Bank.
Unrelated entirely.
No one else cares at all. No links.
It's Alpine, isn't it? So probably they're going to change it up.
I mean, there'll probably just be a bicycle come the end of the year.
It'll be Doohan and Colapinto knowing Alpine.
Yeah, Gasly, go away.
Yeah. I think this will be one-sided as well. I'm very happy to be wrong, but I think it will be one-sided. Gasly has been phenomenal in the last couple of years. Like the way in which he beat the rookie Yuki Tsunoda in 2021, what he's done against Esteban Ocon the last 2 years, both very impressive. In terms of doing, like, his F2 results aren't bad. Like, he got that. He got third after 2.5 seasons in F2, but you always need to be just a little bit skeptical of good results after that amount of time in F2. We've had it before with Nicholas Latifi, did a very good job like 3 years into his F2 career. And I'm not saying Doohan will be Nicholas Latifi, but there's a difference between a driver who can be top 3 in the championship year 1 and top 3 in the championship after having had experience in that series. So
I do have a slight bias towards anyone who is in F2 for longer than 2 years. I do immediately start to go, if you either not come runner-up or third, I don't know if this is it for you.
Yeah, occasionally, in a second year,
you might get a late bloom,
but like I know what you mean. So I'm going with Gasly, and as already mentioned, the Discord very much in favour of Pierre Gasly here as well. We go into the top half of last year's championship, starting with Aston Martin.
Should we just save everyone else some time? Lance Stroll all round, yeah.
Big Lancy boy.
Should we do it, Stroll?
I'm going to go back on my joke there. I am going to just side with Fernando Alonso's neck.
Oh, there's reasoning behind that, please.
It's very thick. I wish I had it.
C's?
I reckon 8 C's. And I'd like to hug it.
You wouldn't be able to get your arms around
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Tree trunk.
Like a great oak in San Francisco.
Fernando Alonso, nicknamed the Great.
Fernando Alonso.
Oh, we're
Right.
on fire today.
Do you have any F1 reasons outside of the obvious?
Two-time world champ, bloody brilliant, great guy. Absolutely love him.
He's a great guy.
As someone who listens to us that hates how much we praise him, and he's bloody great. Lance Stroll is miserable and doesn't want to be there. Is that enough?
Sorry, I wasn't going to say this. I think it was Autosport. they did a video at F175, and they were asking everyone what their favourite livery is, and you get some really interesting answers. And Lance Stroll is the last person that they interview, and his answer is just, I think the Aston Green's pretty good. It's like, oh my God.
Hold on, what's that he's towing? Oh, is it the family line?
No, but it's just so dull.
Yeah,
Like, oh.
yeah.
But yeah, at least Fernando was like, when he's on stage, he's like, well, you've all seen the best one now, so you
That
can
was
go out.
Bit of personality,
Yeah,
right?
funner.
Bit of vavavoom. You know what he could do? The new Mazda advert.
Vavavoom.
Go some. Now Thierry's on his way out. Get Fernando in.
Oh dear.
Is it any closer than last year?
No.
Or is it even?
No.
Does it go the other way?
No.
More one side?
Yeah, I think he's gonna get that floor white with him. I think Alonso is gonna lock in.
The only thing I was gonna say is if the car isn't
bad.
good, Fernando will lose interest this year, and that could make it closer. Because then when Alonso doesn't care, he just spins out for fun.
I don't think
especially for
Newey
sprint races.
is gonna be completely hands off for this year.
No. And I don't.
And I think that's why it's not gonna be a total dud car.
I think it will be a better car. I'm just that's the only scenario where I see it being a closer battle between them. Because even at the start of last year, where the car still wasn't great. Alonso was dragging it, but there's only so much Alonso can drag a car before he gets bored. I think.
Yeah.
I think if it's worse than
Tie
that.
Stroll's car to Alonso's neck, and he will drag it around the track like a tow car.
I'm not sure about the engine regs. I don't know if they allow for that.
I think Alonso's neck is stronger than
That's the
currently.
problem. Yeah, it won't
A
fit in on the
V10
regs.
or Alonso's neck.
It's got a V10 neck. I've got 150cc over it.
Our good friend Mike Crack, obviously ex-team principal at Aston Martin, always used to say that he couldn't see the difference between Alonso and Lance Stroll.
Oh, it's a good joke.
Matt, is he blind?
So
Talk out his arse,
36-10 to Alonso in races, 38-8 in qualifying, and in points, since they've been teammates, 276 to Alonso, 98 to Stroll.
It's not even hit 100 points.
Yeah, I don't think it's that similar. So I am going to, unsurprisingly, go for Fernando Alonso here. As you say, Harry, the only chance Lance Stroll, I think, has to keep this close is if the Aston Martin is just not a good car this year and Alonso is looking forward to 2026. But even then, Lance Stroll finished the year really poorly. He didn't start the year fantastically either, but he scored points. Last time he scored points was Hungary.
I think you assume because Alonso might lose interest, he'll get worse with the car. But that means that Lance Stroll at some point still has to perform well.
So yeah, it's basing it on the fact that
You know what I mean? Lance Stroll doesn't stay as an equal. Lance Stroll also gets worse.
Now he gets
And
better. He becomes the GOAT.
becomes the king. It goes too
the
close.
Haas from a few years ago and win the championship.
No, sorry. There's just no hope.
Close one in Discord, though.
Was it?
real closely.
Just like that points difference. I'm sure Mike Crack judged that one too.
Yeah, it was a whisker.
175-3.
See, told you.
Woo!
Oh, by the way,
Can't see the difference between the two.
when Harry says 3, he means 2.
Oh, because
because
there's always one to power.
the poll itself votes for both options. So, whoever you two are,
It's got to be. Is it a joke?
So no, it's banter, isn't it?
can we?
I'm sorry, 177-2, or 176, I guess. Because
The poll again, as we just established.
To whoever you two are out there,
can you see it?
yeah, hold down on the
Oh yeah.
option.
Ben teach me how to use Discord. We have Flaming Squids.
Yeah.
Leo Noel.
Good job.
Or Noel. Why I said Noel.
Yeah, well, Father Christmas.
Well done. Your vote for Lance Stroll has got you a shout out on this podcast. So we'll see if you're right.
Mad people.
Last one before we go to our next break is Mercedes.
Oh no,
No, not me.
little Kimmy.
No, it's not Hamilton anymore.
Oh no.
We've got George Russell versus Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Of course, Russell now with the team for 4 years, but this will be his first time racing for Mercedes where Lewis Hamilton is not his teammate. He comes off last year with the win, of course, against Lewis Hamilton. His teammate now, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, obviously F2 driver last year, very much accelerated through the junior ranks to get to this point. Sam, who are you going for?
Georgie Russ, mate. Georgie Russ every day. I think he flips that young man upside down and uses that hair like a mop.
You look like the mop and the bucket.
I think he's looked at him and gone, "You come here, boy. Let me teach you a thing or two." Georgie Russ is a very, very, very good Formula One driver, and he proved that against, yes, a demotivated and not really caring Lewis Hamilton at the end. But he's proven time and time again that the guy can pull out results. He thinks for himself. He's very independent and willing to take risks. And I think he understands that Mercedes car, which is very tough because no one understands that Mercedes car. And Kimi Antonelli, who is coming out of Mario Kart, as the character, of course, has to get into a Formula One car, and I do think it's going to be a real challenge. He crashed it on his first time out because the man doesn't understand what slow is. He doesn't know what a brake looks like. Has one pedal in his car.
Fast. That's the pedal.
Yay! As he goes past the pit wall. And I just think that it's going to be a trial by fire. I think he will be electric quick when he hooks it up, but I think we're going to see a lot of mistakes, a lot of going off, a few incidents from Kimi Antonelli, and George Russell just has that consistency. He's got the dog in him, you know, George Russell. He's got the dog in him, and I just think he will just rack up those points. This won't be a great year for Merc. I think they won't really get too close to those top three cars. I just hope they get some understanding of where their car is good and where their car isn't good, and come 2026 they can kick on. But for me, Georgie Russell's got this one in the bag.
Harry, in 2022 at Mercedes, you voted for Lewis Hamilton and George Russell won. In 2023, you voted for George Russell and Lewis Hamilton won. And last year, you voted for Lewis Hamilton and George Russell won. So whatever you say now is not going to be right.
You have a great track record.
Good stuff. I am going to go for George Russell. If he has another season like last year, then I don't think it's going to be, not that it's a whitewash, but I think it's going to be pretty dominant from his side, because he was pretty sensational last year. Probably flew under the radar slightly, but and you're right, I think Antonelli's going to be very quick, but I think we're going to see quite a few mistakes from him. It's going to give me real Colton Herta vibes this year, Antonelli.
Quite possibly.
Very quick. Very mistake-ridden, but it's going to be fun to watch. But yeah, I think there might be times where he is quicker than, say, Russell in a qualifying, but when he actually gets to a race scenario, Mr. Alternate Strategy, as George Russell should now be known.
No, let's stop giving people weird nicknames, okay?
It can't be Mr. Saturday forever. But I think in a race scenario, Russell is very good at thinking his way through a race in a way that Antonelli just won't be yet, which is perfectly fair because he's not done any F1 yet. So gonna go Russell. It's gonna be an intriguing one to watch, but I just think if he's on the form he was last year, then if the Merc is good, watch out. Georgie Russ.
Here comes the Georgie man.
Yes, that's what they say.
Yeah. Who's they?
Georgie
Sam.
man. Georgie man. Does whatever a Russell can.
They being Sam and Clives.
No, we don't talk at the moment.
Oh,
Are you falling out?
No, just on a hiatus.
All right.
I spent too much time together over Christmas.
Is he still in the cupboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spend too
but
much
you're
time.
Okay.
He's in the cupboard.
Yeah, it's really annoying because
He
I
only
haven't.
gets the weekly Sam now.
It's on the Weekly Sam, which is still actually called the Daily Sam.
Oh, that's confusing.
Yeah.
I was wondering if one of us was going to spring a surprise with this one, and the answer is no.
No.
I'm going George Russell as well. I thought there might be a chance that someone went Antonelli for a bit of a shock, but
Some banter.
yeah, but I am going George Russell.
Too competitive.
I mean, George Russell did beat Lewis Hamilton in 2 out of 3 seasons. That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Lewis Hamilton, if you haven't noticed, has won some championships in this sport. And in terms of pole position, like last year, George Russell's qualifying record against Hamilton was ridiculous. Yeah. I don't care that Hamilton was out the door, if he was demoted. Like, he beat him 17-6 in quali. That is seriously impressive. Yeah. So whilst I think, like you both, I think Antonelli will give Russell some headaches. I think there will be a couple of laps where Russell just goes, how the hell did you do that, son? But for the most part, his consistency, his race pace, I think Russell will get over the line. And yeah, I'm probably more interested here, not necessarily about the teammate wars battle, but about Merc themselves. Like, if Russell is as good as he was last season, how far does that take Mercedes and Russell? Does that get him a couple of wins again? Does that only get him podiums? Does it get him better than that? I don't know yet. But yeah, I'm going Russell. And the Discord was... in favour of George Russell as well.
154 to 23.
Yeah, but there's a few there. Antonelli. But not quite as one-sided as the last couple we've discussed, but still fairly one-sided. We've still got 3 teammate wars battles to go through. We'll get to those after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the final part of teammate wars. We've gone through 7 teams thus far. We've got 3 more to go. At the moment, there's no differences between you both. We'll see if any of these
This will be the first one.
Will it?
Will it?
Surely.
I don't know.
You've got Liam Lawson written all over you.
Oh,
so I thought you meant you were going to go for Liam Lawson.
I never make a bad decision in teammate wars.
So I take it for Red Bull, you're going with Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's probably the easiest choice up and down the grid. Reigning world champion. The guy barely misses. I think he is as keen as ever to win. So even though that Red Bull may not be as dominant as previous years, it's still got race winning potential. And I think Max will do what Max does. I think Liam will have a good season. I think he'll be at least on par with what Perez was able to achieve last year, which for their first season in the team, who's barely done a full season in Formula 1, that's not bad. But I can't see Liam Lawson challenging Max Verstappen.
I think the more intriguing question is not who wins this, because I've got Max Verstappen as well, no surprise, but how close Liam Lawson gets. On a scale of Perez last year to maybe Perez in 2022 when he was a little bit closer, where does Lawson fit in that? I
think Lawson is closer to the 2022 side of things. I think there's some podiums on the cards. I think he will be...
Win?
I don't think there'll be a win, because I simply don't think the Red Bull is going to be good enough this season to be a regularly winning car. And if that car is there, Max Verstappen will be there. So I think Lawson will be competitive. I don't think he'll embarrass himself, but I just can't see him being particularly close to a title fight or regular race wins.
And if he is that, when would Red Bull and Lawson lock up 2026?
Well, Red Bull seem to either do things incredibly too quickly or far too late. Just give it a good 15, 16 races of the season, see how it's going, wait till the last 5 or 6, and then go, yeah, we're happy with the progress, well done, let's put another year on the deal. And a year on the deal, right? It's a whole new set of regulations. The cars are completely different. Let's not lock Lawson in for another 3-year deal where you have no idea how he might perform next season. So 3/4 of the season, give it a year.
Harry?
Yeah, Max Verstappen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think. I think Lawson will do a good job, and there may be occasions where he gives Verstappen a headache. I'm intrigued to see if he has any similar attitude towards Verstappen as he does for Fernando Alonso or Sergio Perez, as he did last year.
Verstappen isn't old enough.
That's
he hates old people.
Yeah.
He's ageist.
Yes.
He'll never come on this show.
Ageist Lawson. But I do wonder if there will be a couple of occasions, if they are, Verstappen might have a very rare, slightly slower weekend. Lawson might be having a better weekend, and they come across each other on track, and I just wonder how that's going to go. But yeah, I think it's no shade on Lawson here, but it's a Verstappen win.
Yeah, that is no shade whatsoever on Liam Lawson to expect Verstappen to win this one. I think if he was at a similar level to Perez last year, that's not enough, because Perez wasn't close to being close enough, if that makes sense. He was so far versus his own standards. Again, I referenced 2022, but even 2021 or 2023, it was another step down entirely. So I think Lawson needs to produce more than that. Whether he can or not remains to be seen. I'm skeptical. It depends how quickly he gets up to speed with the Red Bull, I think. If he can be from the off close to his potential, then that's going to give him a far better chance at the end of the year having a respectable score versus Verstappen. If it takes him until the summer break to properly get adjusted, then it could be as one-sided as last year. But 3 Verstappens, and I'm assuming that's going to be 4 with the Discord as well.
Yeah.
How many brave souls going for Liam Lawson?
2.
Does that include the poll?
No, 3 including the poll. It's Osafune on Discord, and Russell's #1 fan, which is not a surprise.
That makes sense.
Yeah, fine. It's political.
It's time.
Here we go.
It's time.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
For Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, of course, remaining with the team. He's been there since 2019. He's had Sebastian Vettel as a teammate. He's had Carlos Sainz as a teammate. He now has Lewis Hamilton as a teammate, moving over.
It's a roster of teammates. That is rough.
It is indeed. I think a few years ago, probably on a podcast, we would have mentioned something like one day Hamilton versus Leclerc would be an epic teammate wars battle. And yet here we are, and it's actually happening.
It's happening.
This is really interesting for a number of reasons. Sam, I want to start with you because two things. I'm going to tell you two things. They're both true.
Yep.
Number one, you have never picked against Lewis Hamilton in teammate wars.
Very true.
Can you guess what the second one is?
No.
You've never picked against Charles Leclerc.
And I've been right every single time.
Now you have to.
Something's got to give.
The movable object versus the soft thing.
Sure.
Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton. There we go.
Leclerc will out-qualify him throughout the whole season. And I think Leclerc will start really, really well. And this is more of a hopium choice. This is more of a hopes and dreams.
There's plenty of success for you to base your opinion on.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
You've done it right.
But whilst Leclerc is probably coming off the back of his best season in Formula One, Lewis Hamilton is arguably coming off the back of his worst season in Formula One. And I'm hoping that Lewis's joy that we are seeing throughout this pre-season, his love for being in reg, Fred Vasseur taking him under his wing, the car seems to suit him, that's what he's said so far. I think it will take some time. And I do think on the Saturday, more often than not, Charles Leclerc will be by far the dominant force. But how often have we said that Hamilton is just so consistent once he gets things under his wing? And even when you look back at some of the highlights from last season, the pace that Lewis was still able to produce, Abu Dhabi, the way he got round Russell on the last lap, the pace he had in Las Vegas, but the qualifying let him down, the wing at Silverstone, Belgium was also fantastic. He still has that ability to pull out that pace. So if he's comfortable, if the car works as he wants it to, and we've already mentioned Leclerc's driving style is an oversteery car, Hamilton's is the same. He likes a pointy end. He likes a car that he can wrestle through the corners. He's not like your Jenson Buttons or your Carlos Sainz that enjoy that smoother approach to driving. They like to chuck the car in and really feel it under them. It could really benefit him. So, yes, there is some hope here, and I am willing to accept that I may be going out on a limb, but I'm going for Lewis Hamilton.
There were some performances last year that should give confidence for Hamilton here, because really the ones I would have mentioned are the same ones you've mentioned, where the car, either the car has been there or he has been motivated for a particular reason. Of course, Abu Dhabi, his last ever race for Mercedes, pretty motivated there. His pace was excellent. Belgium and Silverstone, you've already mentioned, like the car was far better than it had been for the majority of the season, and he was able to deliver. So it is an interesting one, Leclerc versus Hamilton. Are you agreeing with Sam?
If we were doing this time last year, I'd go easy Hamilton. But it was beginning of 24 and they were teammates. I did my notes for this on the way down on the train because I was on it for 3 days.
Left on Thursday.
Yeah. And I changed this 4 times.
No.
I went back and forth. F1 back and forth coming up.
It's not.
Is it not coming up? We got back and forth later.
Yeah,
We do. We've got a game. I didn't even realise.
Yeah, come on, son.
Bonus game.
I've gone for Leclerc, and I'm only basing this off all the great performances Hamilton had last year. Yes, need to be considered. Leclerc had great performances basically every race last year, barring maybe Canada, and that wasn't his fault, really.
And Silverstone.
And Silverstone.
Also nice fault.
I think that is what is just tipped it for me, because I think in qualifying maybe Leclerc will beat Hamilton in the same way Russell has done, and there will be instances this year, I'm sure, where Hamilton has the upper hand. It could all change because we just don't know what the form is going to be like from Hamilton this year. But I think just basing it off the past year, the consistency that Charles Leclerc now has, that I think he perhaps missed or was missing in previous years, goes against the inconsistency we saw from Hamilton in 24, where there were great performances, but then there were some terrible ones as well. And that's the only reason I'm gone Leclerc. But honestly, I didn't want to answer this one.
Well, I'm glad you have.
Thank you.
Bonus question.
Ben's bonus BBQ.
BBQ.
Bang, bang, bang.
You changed your answer 4 times,
Yeah.
and you ended up on Leclerc. Was he your first answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went Hamilton.
Right. Okay.
So you went for your gut.
Oh my God.
Fair.
It's tough, this one.
It is.
Very tough.
Toughy.
I have gone with Charles Leclerc.
Oh,
It's the sensible option, I think.
but it's ridiculous because
The
he's Lewis
sensible-
Hamilton.
to go against the 7-time champion. This is what F1's all about, these sorts of battles. I'm so intrigued to see it. I hope Ferrari, give them a car to work with,
Please.
man. Please.
I don't know, that livery reeks of third place in the championship.
I hope it goes faster than it looks. I just don't understand the livery at all. But then again, I don't really understand marketing. I think
You won't get that, folks. That's a dig. Yeah.
I think this will be really close. I think the determining factor is qualifying. Because if you told me 24 races, every single race, Hamilton will start, let's say Hamilton will start third every race, third one race, fourth the next race, and then Leclerc will be the other way around. So they've got essentially an identical qualifying record. Who would I pick? Hamilton just. Because I think race pace, I don't think you'll be able to separate them this year is my prediction in terms of race pace. There'll be some races where Hamilton just about edges it. There'll be some where Leclerc just about edges it, and there'll be plenty where they're about the same. It's going to be qualifying that determines this, and I just think based on what Russell did in qualifying to Hamilton last season and how good Charles Leclerc is in qualifying, we might get a few Las Vegas results where Hamilton clearly has wonderful pace, but Russell was way up the road because he'd qualified on pole. If we have some of those, I think Leclerc might just have this one. But Charles Leclerc's qualifying, his qualifying record's ridiculous.
He might be the
against
best
teammates.
qualifier in the grid right now.
His record against teammates in qualifying, he's won 100 and he's lost 48. That's pretty good. Winning 2/3 of qualifying sessions against teammates. Leclerc's only lost once in a teammate battle, and that was to Carlos Sainz by 5.5 points. So very good drivers, both of them. Obvious thing to say, but I am just about giving this to Charles Leclerc.
This score wasn't as close as I thought.
Yeah.
116 to Leclerc and 62 to Hamilton.
I thought this was going to be 50-50.
A lot of Red Bull fans in the Discord.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Because we obviously found
I'm not. I genuinely think that the general public will quite comfortably side with the Leclerc, and I think I have gone out on a limb.
I thought it'd be 60-40 Leclerc.
Sounds ridiculous.
Which is, hilarious that the most successful driver of all time is the bad option.
Yeah.
How many races into the season will it take for you to be confident or not confident? Like if Hamilton's on it from the off, are you going to be feeling?
Oh yeah, I'll be bigging it up every single
Yeah.
recording. I will be like, I'm coming for that title again.
If we've race 4 and Leclerc's still got an
No,
advantage.
not race 4 yet. No, I think once we hit the European leg, then I'll know. I think,
Fair.
This is where Hamilton does beat him, but Bortoletto does Hulkenberg.
and we draw again.
Depending on what this last one is, but
You are underestimating that it is his literal dream to make this mistake.
That man only eats steak.
steak for breakfast, steak for lunch, steak for dinner.
If he doesn't have it, he has it in a bake, wrapped in pastry.
I got a chicken bake from Greg's on the way here.
Sensational treat.
I've not had a Greg's for ages.
I had a chicken bake yesterday.
You actually got into London at 10. You were just eating chicken bake.
I'll have another one.
I had to get. I was hungry.
Fancy another one.
I've been on the train for 3 days.
Good news then, folks. We do have completely unique selections this year,
We've done it.
which we didn't have last year. So progress. The last teammate wars battle is for the constructors champions of last year, McLaren. The 3rd consecutive year, unbelievably the only team other than Aston Martin to keep the same lineup as last year. Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri. Norris has won both years, but in terms of percentage of points won, Piastri was a lot closer last year. Harry, Norris or Piastri?
I've gone for Oscar Piastri.
Have you really?
This is another one that I was unsure. I didn't change it 4 times, but I know Norris is a superb driver, and he obviously came second in the championship last year. He challenged Verstappen. I just think if Piastri can have an entire year where he's good and not have a dodgy start, I think he was better overall than Norris was, and it was that start that let him down. So this is going to be super, super, super close. But I've just given it to Piastri basically because he's only on. This will be year 3, and given the form he's already shown, that can only get better. Given the speed, but also the consistency, and really there aren't many errors. There are a few dodgy races towards the back end, but they were more like qualifying errors, which led to poor races. Brazil springs to mind, but that is quite frightening given that this is only year 3 for him. And look, Norris, I think Norris stepped up another gear last year, and it should not be underestimated at all. I just think given the levels of experience and where Piastri was versus Norris towards the end of that year, or even the last third of that year, I'm going to give it to Piastri. I feel like I'm going to regret this, but
British bias running rampant again.
I know, Aussie bias.
Gosh.
But I've given it to Oscar.
Okay. Sam, are you going Piastri as well, or are you sticking with Norris?
You know how we were just talking about chicken bakes?
Yes.
There's nothing more than for breakfast than I love than a pastry.
That is niche.
Yeah,
Oscar pastry.
I'm going for a Piastri.
Yep.
And pastry rises when cooked to perfection, and that man cooks. Qualifying let him down through a large portion of the season. Right at the start, right at the end, he really dropped off on qualifying. The likes of Spain spring to mind. Austria was another one. And I think he's got it in him to rectify that and to grow. And I think you already mentioned the difference between year 1 and year 2 was massive. And I think that development will happen again into year 3. I think Lando Norris is now trying to find those finer margins in his ability to step up and fight with the likes of Verstappen up the front. Whereas I think Piastri's ceiling, we don't know where that is yet. I really think there could be a lot more to come from Oscar Piastri. So if he can lock down the starting of the season, Harry, as you mentioned, I think it could be a really, really close battle. And I just think Piastri has this calmness to him. He just absorbs pressure. So if they are in a championship fight...
What's pressure for?
Tyres. If they're in a championship fight from the start, I think that Piastri can just take a deep breath and just get on with it. Whereas we saw with Lando Norris, I know he was up against Max Verstappen, and that is ridiculous competition, but the mistakes came out. The starts were poor. The qualifying at times didn't help him. He had moments where suddenly he was unable to go wheel to wheel and get overtakes done. But I do think that Piastri, now he's learnt and he's kind of got that arsenal put together and he knows how to fight on all sides, I think across the whole season he could just do it. And also a bit annoyed because I thought I was going to be really bold and go for Oscar Piastri and you've jumped in.
Sorry, mate. I mean, we're both bold.
We're losing our hair, so...
Have you forgotten this is a British podcast?
No.
Are we not allowed to pick? We've not picked a single Brit, have we?
I have.
Well,
George
Russell.
Oh. I'm going to take it all back.
There's so many of them on the grid now.
We've picked some Brits.
Yes, and I'm picking one more, Lando Norris. I agree that Piastri, we might not have seen the best of him yet, given his development from year 2 to year 1. I think that's also true about Lando Norris. I still think there's more that Lando Norris has to give this sport. You're right about the starts and the wheel-to-wheel battling. Those are the two things Lando Norris absolutely has to rectify. I think he can. I think he can rectify both of them. I'm more confident that he can rectify the starts because we've seen other drivers...
Hamilton is a prime example.
Yeah, we've seen other drivers do that. The wheel-to-wheel stuff I'm less sure about, but I think having had 1 or 3/4 of a season battling wheel-to-wheel with Verstappen, I think he will get better at that. And ultimately, I still think pace-wise, Norris has the edge on Piastri, both in qualifying and in terms of race pace. Qualifying, you're right. I think Piastri can get better in that regard, but he'll have to get quite a lot better to get up to where Norris was last season. In terms of race pace, the one thing I want to see from Oscar Piastri that I don't think we have yet is one of Norris's... So remember Norris, what he did in Miami? I know we had the safety car, but after the safety car period, he blasted off into the distance. Zandvoort, I know he had a terrible start, but after he took Verstappen, it wasn't close. Abu Dhabi wasn't close. He's had a number of, and even with a couple of errors at Singapore, right? He was a long way clear of anyone else. Piastri, whenever he's won, and he deserves credit, it has generally been closer. So Baku, I know it was somewhat self-inflicted, but Lando Norris wasn't in the fight, and Piastri held on for that win. We had, I'm trying to remember the other one that he won that was close. Hungary, of course, yeah. And I think Piastri deserved to hold on to that win based on the team orders. But equally, Norris was right there with him. I wanted to see Piastri at some point just prove that out and out pace, he had enough to completely destroy Norris and everyone else. And because I didn't see that, I'm going to stick with Lando Norris.
And the Discord, please. One of you.
Sorry, for taking
fairly close.
Was it?
To fruit twist. It was 95 to Norris and 86 to.
That was very close.
Pretty close as well.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so we've got, I think, the same picks for 7 of the 10 teams.
Yep.
And the differences are, I've gone for Bortoletto. You two have both gone for Hülkenberg.
Yep.
You two have gone for Piastri.
Yep.
So I'm on an island again with Lando Norris. And then myself and Harry have gone for Charles Leclerc. Sam has gone for Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari.
We have got some more differences this year.
We have.
I was a little nervous it was going to go down to one team again. I'm really glad it hasn't.
Yes.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of change last year, was there? So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Obviously, we've asked you in the Discord what you think, and you've voted on the poll, so thank you very much for that. But equally, if you haven't voted on those polls and want to let us know in the comments, in a review, wherever you like, just let us know if you agree with our opinions or if you've got a few differences. Maybe you're the one that thinks Lance Stroll's got it this year.